Okay, everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be doing a FanDuel review. Hopefully, Bobby hops on and joins me with the DraftKings a little bit later. For those of you that watched our review on Friday, hopefully I didn't say anything completely stupid because I was so tired. I had just gotten off a plane, and I had delusions, excuse me, I had delusions about being able to do anything productive. And hopefully you guys didn't hear me say anything dumb. Then again, I did get some notes saying that somebody won some tournament because of the stuff we talked about. God knows what it was, because I honestly don't remember. But the jet lag is now off, and I am ready to go. So I'm going to talk about some FanDuel stuff today. And as usual with FanDuel, we're going to be going position by position, but you'll see kind of a recurring theme here, kind of getting to this Philadelphia situation where Simmons has been ruled out. So that's going to drive a decent amount of the value on the slate. And there are probably at least one guy, maybe two I might lock in here. And one guy who I'm probably going to fade just because I feel that there's another player with equal value that's going to be much less owned. And as we've discussed, if you could just find one or two kind of good pivots, that's really all you need to be in good shape in a lot of GPP slates. And I think this is one of them. So let's just start, I guess, the point guard position. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over who I think are good plays and try to highlight guys who might be lower owned. Like there's one guy who I didn't put in this main lineup that I think you're just going to have to keep an eye on, because the overall ownership that I see right now has this guy at 5%, which to me just doesn't make any sense. I imagine this guy is going to be really, really popular. And if so, then you have to factor that in. But, with Simmons out, if in fact Raul Neto gets the start, he's only 3,500 on FanDuel. So, if in fact he gets the start and he is 3,500, he rates to be an extremely, extremely good value. So I don't believe this 5% number is real. If it is, yeah, let's plow him in. But if he gets up to be 30, 40%, which I think is possible, then, you don't have to lock him in. You know what I mean? You don't even have to play him at all. Because there are some other good options. Like, for example, like Luka, even though he's kind of, has this ankle, whatever it is still, he's facing Minnesota. He rates to be a very, very strong play here. And with the existence of other value, you can certainly get him in. So Luka looks to be the best play. And he's rating to be, semi-high owned, I suppose. Let me just look at an early, 50% maybe. So that's pretty high. So I don't think you have to lock him in. He does rate to be the best play, but I think that there are other things you could do. Like you could pay down a little bit and pay up elsewhere. But he does rate to be the best play. Is he worth 50%? I do think it's close. I would prefer him to be less, but great for me to prefer it. Doesn't make it so. So Luka does rate to be the best player. Other guys to look at, again, aside from the guy I put in here, is going to be based on this Miami value because Butler is still out. Second day in a row for personal reasons. And the guy that's right now the most popular of these value guys is going to be Kendrick Nunn, who certainly looks to be a very, very strong play. But, I don't find him to be that much better, for example, than Goran Dragic. I definitely think Nunn is a little bit better, but given the ownership gap, like right now I would see, Dragic at about 10% compared to maybe 20 for Nunn. I don't think that Nunn would be worth twice the ownership. That's why I put Dragic in here. But I did want to bring up Kendrick Nunn because he does rate to be a good play, but I just don't know if I want to pay a 25% ownership premium for him when I could just go down to Dragic and have almost as good a play with much less ownership. Other guys to mention, if you don't want to go this route, is Spencer Dinwiddie. He's going to be kind of chalky. He's fine. He's just not for me, but he's certainly okay. And then there's John Morant, who is going to be 6,200, and he would probably be the next guy I would put in. Again, he's not getting any huge ownership discounts on him, maybe 15, 20%, but he looks fine. I think the guy you really do have to look for is this Raul Nato situation. If he, in fact, is going to get the start, and his ownership is kind of kept low, like you don't hear a lot about him. I don't know how you couldn't, but I definitely think that he would be even a stronger play than Dragic. But again, you have to watch the ownership on somebody like that. Now, again, it wouldn't be a slate without me mentioning Trae Young, right? So, I mean, he has a ceiling every single game. I just don't think that I could get to him on this slate. I think I would prefer Luka at the same price pretty much over him. And with that said, you know, Simmons is a pretty good defender, so him being out might make it a little more, a little easier for Trae. And he always does have that ceiling, and it's always kind of tough to fade him. But I would just prefer Luka. But again, if Trae is going to be 5% or something like that, then I can certainly be talked off it. But I don't know. What about 10% Trae Young? I don't know. I might have to. You know what I mean? Like if I knew for a fact that Luka was going to be 50% and Trae 10, I don't know. I think I'd probably, if I had to play one lineup, I think it'd be close. I really do. I mean, that's how much ownership kind of drives this stuff. I'm just kind of staring at this. Luka Trae. I don't know. It's an interesting decision. All right, going to shooting guard. Shooting guard, this is the first spot I'm probably going to lock somebody in. I do like Josh Richardson here at 5,100. He's probably my second favorite of the Philadelphia values. Actually, he's close. I think given his ranking as far as values go compared to other shooting guards, I think that I would start with him, and then what I would do is then kind of shuffle the other shooting guards. Like the other guys I like are kind of pay ups, and I'm going to get to one pivot off of Richardson if you don't like this. I do like Donovan Mitchell against Phoenix in this spot. He looks pretty good, and again, you're going to get ownership here. And also Bradley Beal. He is coming off a monster game, so I don't like to play guys off these monster games. And playing Milwaukee's no picnic. But I could go with either Mitchell or Beal in this second spot. I think they're both obviously strong plays. They're going to get ownership, and I do like them. The other two things you could do, you could go pay up to Harden, which is fine. You are going to have to make concessions elsewhere, but Harden certainly does look to be a decent play, and I don't think that he's going to get the same kind of ownership that he might otherwise get. I mean, you still probably get 15, 20%, but you won't get that 50% Harden at the shooting guard spot that you usually get on FanDuel. If you don't like the Richardson play, or if your lineups are otherwise too chalky, one thing you could do if you want to pivot off of that is to go with Dillon Brooks. So Dillon Brooks has disappointed some people from time to time, but he's only 4,300, and I presume he's got to have some ownership, right? I mean, he is going to be 15 to 20% owned probably, but so I don't know what kind of a pivot it really is, but it is certainly an alternative to Richardson. I do think Richardson is the better play, and by a decent amount. So let me look at the ownership on Richardson. See, like if Richardson is 25 and Brooks is 20, I'll just kind of eat the extra 5% and take Richardson. But if you do see that Richardson's getting a lot of publicity, in all the talk shows, so to speak, and nobody's really mentioning Dillon Brooks, then maybe you could try for him. But Josh Richardson does look like the best play. All right. So small forward, there doesn't seem to be huge standouts here. Like one thing you could always do is you could play Giannis, right? As a matter of fact, I mean, the more I'm thinking about this, maybe paying up for Giannis is a better idea than paying up for Luka? Or is it? I think this is the decision that you're going to have to make, you know, because they both look like pretty good plays here. So whether you want Giannis in a matchup at Washington or Luka in a matchup home against Minnesota, I think they both carry some blowout risk to them, but I don't know. Maybe Giannis is the better player now that I think about it. So if you put Giannis in this lineup and then you pay down a little bit of point guard, then see, the thing is, this Luka at 50% is what kind of gets me. You know what I mean? It kind of gets me, wants to get me off it a little bit. Where Giannis at 30% is a little more palatable. So maybe that's the idea, is to go with Giannis and fade Luka. So let me just see what that looks like for a second. So like, what's his name? Oubre, for example, he rates to be pretty popular, and he doesn't rate to be that great a play. So like, if you put in Giannis in this lineup and go back to the point guards that I discussed and see if there was another kind of value point guard you could put in, now you can go put in, you could take the second Miami guy, right? You could put in Kendrick Nunn if you want. Or you could play this. Now, you would love to be able to play a Cleveland guy here also, but I think it's all right to play Dragic and Nunn together. So this is looking like a decision, right? Giannis or Luka. We'll see. We'll see where this takes us. So the other small forwards that I wanted to bring up are guys that it's kind of annoying. It's the best I can describe them. One is Oubre, and Oubre looks to be a pretty good play, if you want to know the truth. I mean, I did get rid of him just to make Giannis fit, but I can certainly put him back in because I'm paying up at power forward. You'll see what I can do here. So I could probably put Oubre back in. Next guy, you could deal with these other two Utah guys, which are Bojan and Ingles. And I've been telling you guys about Bojan Bogdanovic. He just stinks. I mean, he just hasn't done anything all year. And without even looking, I could tell you that he busted his last game. You want to know why? Because he always busts. Let's just take a look at him. And was he playing against Houston, where all they do is let you shoot threes? And what he gets, 17 fantasy points? I mean, are you kidding me? This guy, I mean, this is a joke. You know, so you could keep him. You could go to Ingles if you want at 4,400. That's another way you can go. But the thing about both those guys, as I was preparing for this, I noticed that both those guys are getting some ownership, but they're both about 15%. So what would be nice if I could pay down, or not pay down, pay a similar price for guys that's even less owned. And so the guy I came up with is kind of a weird one-off, like Marcus Morris. He's very similarly priced to Ingles, and he rates to be about the same as far as value goes, yet he's projected to be only 5 to 10% owned. And that could be a way to go. Now, what I'd love to do is get a little more juice out of this and maybe this is where you could do something like go with Morant or something like that instead of Dragic. And then we could save money elsewhere. Because just to put like Marcus Morrison as a simple one-off is kind of bizarre. As a matter of fact, I mean, you don't really need a run back with him because it's not like he's the top option on the Clippers in the first place, you know? So let's put Dragic back in for now. Maybe this Marcus Morris just kind of a lemon. You know what you could do if you want? You could do somebody like this. You can go with Jay Crowder. So if you wanted to get off of one of these Miami guys, you can go to Jay Crowder. I think Jay Crowder is a good play. He always has upside, and they didn't start him in the last game. He ended up playing pretty good run, though. I think he got like 25 minutes, and part of it was against like the second unit. That's how he got there. He had 26 minutes, and all this I think was the second unit. The fourth quarter was like a blowout, so they let him run, and that's how he got 35 fantasy points. So he could certainly get it again. I mean, look at some of these scores. So maybe he's a way to go. So you don't play all this Miami stuff. Well, again, we're forgetting the fact that we might be able to play Nitu in this position. So we could try this. What else? Small forward. That's pretty much it. I mean, you can go Giannis, Oubre, as I mentioned. I don't like the Bojan Bogdanovic or Ingles. Ingles is fine, I suppose, at 4,400. Marcus Morris looks to be a good kind of, leverage play, but how much leverage is he really giving you? In other words, is he really going to smash? I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, there's so much usage to be had on the Clipper side. I mean, I don't know. But I think Jay Crowder might be an interesting one. I mean, he's kind of got that upside where by himself, he can get 40 points, you know what I mean, without like the rest of the game blowing up. So he looks like a good play, actually. All right, so at power forward, really, really big standout here. Al Horford is just kind of a lock here. And I'm probably locking him in on both sites, FanDuel and DraftKings. Just rates to be too strong. I just can't fade it. I mean, just rates to be very strong in and of itself, relative to the whole slate and relative to the position. So I do like him a lot. Now, underneath Horford, who I presume, again, is going to be 50% owned. Yeah, it looks that way. But that 50% I'll just eat is kind of a mess. Not a mess. I mean, you got some good options here. You could pay up and play Bam. You could also pay a similar price and go with Julius Randle. Or what you could do is you could pay down to these two value guys we've spoken about before in other slates. That would be Brandon Clark and Naz Reid. I hope I'm not going too fast here. So Brandon Clark is 5,200 for playing for Memphis. It's another one in that Memphis game. I wonder if I can make that work. Boy, I'd love to play Kawhi, but that's what you could do. I could play Kawhi with Marcus Morris, maybe. I don't know. Is it asking for it? Yeah, maybe. So there's Brandon Clark and there's Naz Reid for Minnesota. If I was going to play Naz Reid, I'd probably want to play him with a Luka lineup. But he certainly looks to be a decent play, and it's going to be getting ownership also, another 20% guy. So you're not going to get a lot of juice out of the power forward position, in my opinion. You could play, I would lock in Horford and then just kind of shuffle these others. Maybe if you want, you could pay all the way up for Kawhi. Maybe that would be the way to go. So here we have, what do we have in this Cleveland game? We have 1, 2. Well, we're going to get to Bam in a second. Well, we just did. So Bam is certainly an option. So this particular lineup has 3 Miami guys. It's got Dragic, Crowder, and Adebayo. It would be nice to have a Cleveland guy in there also. I just don't have one that I like. All right, so the center for me, I'm kind of set on my center because this is just kind of the way I play. So to me, there are 2 guys that rate to be almost dead equal as far as value goes. Maybe one a little bit better than the other. And one of them is Joel Embiid, who certainly makes sense with no Simmons, and also Rudy Gobert, who's only 8K. They rate to be very similar point per dollar, and because they're high prices, they carry good raw points also in with that point per dollar. So if you have a 6x projection out of a guy who's 8K, it's better than, the 6x projection out of 3K, you know what I mean? Because you do need those raw points also. So I do like both Gobert and Embiid, and for me, it's just kind of a no-brainer. I mean, you have Embiid looking to be about 40-50% owned, and Gobert like 15 to 20. I'm just going to play Gobert every time. I mean, and that's just what you just have to do, in my opinion. I mean, you just have to take that leverage and just run with it. And you have to accept the fact that maybe Embiid is slightly better, but just not enough. You know what I mean? Just not enough better, so to speak, to overcome that ownership discount. So I will certainly way prefer Gobert over Embiid. And then what I would do is if I were going to play Embiid, I would make damn sure that the rest of my lineups were just non-chalk. Like, for example, I think the Embiid-Horford duo, I think that's kind of asking for it. You know what I mean? I think you're getting double chalk. And in a way, they kind of take from each other a little bit, right? They are going to be fighting for some rebounds, so together. So I don't know if the Embiid-Horford chalk pairing is going to win, So I think that a kind of a good way to go here is to play So I got these two Utah guys, Gobert and Mitchell. Then I also have the, I do have two Philly guys, actually maybe three if I use NATO. But what this does is it eliminates Embiid. So I could be a little different that way. Now, again, what would be nice, if I can get away with it, be to find a Phoenix guy that I liked, right? Because I have the two Utahs. Let me just take another look at the Phoenix situation, see if I like anybody. The natural guy I would like is Booker, but he was okay. Well, you know what you could do? You could play Booker or you could play Oubre. You know what I mean? So if you went, that's the thing. Like, I would have to get rid of Jay Rich to play Booker. Or I would have to get rid of, I could get rid of Crowder to play Oubre. So if I did that, for example, well, now I'm just getting a little chalky, right? Because Oubre is the chalk. And I could certainly make that up elsewhere. But if it went back to Jay, Crowder, if I went Booker here and then a different Utah guy, so let's just say I went Booker here. If I went Booker with Gobert and then I'd want to go Ingles or something like that instead of Crowder. Kind of like this Crowder play, though. Is Ingles small forward or shooting guard? He was small forward, right? That is definitely a shame. Look real quick. Maybe I could make him a shooting guard. No, can't. So maybe this Booker thing just isn't going to work. So we definitely have some work to do. But as far as identifying plays, I think this is a pretty good start. Okay, now this Nito thing is going to be a real key, right? Why is Shake Milton not going to get the start? This is going to require a little bit of work because if I know Shake Milton's going to be starting, wouldn't I rather play him? Yeah, this is definitely going to take a little bit of work. But for now, I mean, at least you have an idea of what players to start with. So for me, I do think that the primary decision as far as construction goes is going to be whether you play Giannis or Luka, because I do think you need to play one of them. I do think you need those raw points. And for me, the center position's easy. I'll play mostly Gobert and a little bit of Embiid. And I do think that Jay Rich is a very, very strong player at small forward. At shooting guard, and I do think that Horford's a very strong player at power forward. And with the rest of it, you could really shuffle around and get some low-owned lineups. So I guess that's it. If Bobby wants to critique this a little bit and put his own spin on it, that's great. He's around to do a DraftKings thing. I'll do that with him in a little while. Until then, that's it.